In a city of legendary journalists, Royko was among the best, a poker-faced, bare-knuckle newspaper columnist who came into the business at a time when more Chicagoans read the news than watched it.
You didn't have a television set. There was no television. All the information came from the newspapers.
As the son of a saloon owner, newspapers were a part of his earliest childhood memories.
I probably was exposed to newspapers earlier than most kids might be, because you'd have 5, 6 newspapers on the bar. Every paper was there.
With unnerving clarity, Royko challenged the most entrenched of Chicago institutions: sports figures, the media, the mob, the mayor, and his machine. His 1970s bestseller, Boss, unveiled a scathing portrait of America's most powerful big city mayor, Richard J. Daley, the first Daley. Royko was one Chicago journalist every bit as tough-minded as those he wrote about. In 1984, he was taken to court by the Sun-Times for breach of contract for jumping to the Tribune. In characteristic fashion, he lashed out at Rupert Murdoch, who owned the Sun-Times back then.
All I want to do, I've been writing a column in Chicago for 20 years. I'd like to continue writing a column in Chicago for 20 years, but I don't want to work for him.
While Royko was a Chicago institution, he helped to make his favorite hangout an institution as well. The Billy Goat Tavern was often the inspiration for many of his best columns, a place where Royko could become just another working stiff, but a hero to the regulars at the bar.
I have never seen a man who sprang up from the neighborhoods like that, who had such a perception of corruption and the way that he could expose it so brilliantly.
It was no secret Royko enjoyed a drink or two, sometimes even more. Last year, he was convicted for drunk driving and disorderly conduct following a traffic accident, and was clearly rankled by the questions from TV reporters.
Get that out of my face. You hang around out here and ask me to do your work for you.
Throughout his 38 years of newspapering, Mike Royko rarely made apologies for who he was or what he wrote. One exception was last year, when the very columnist who'd made a career out of exposing racism in Chicago was himself accused of being a racist. A satirical column accusing Mexico of being a narco state responsible for sending drugs to the U.S. brought 2,000 angry protesters to the steps of the Tribune Tower. While this was one crowd he avoided, there was another he relished. His Rib Fest in Grant Park became an annual event. His own secret rib sauce will forever remain a secret.
You shouldn't even ask about secret ingredients. I mean, it's poor form.
The only thing spicier than Royko's secret rib sauce was his daily newspaper column. Through 3 decades, Chicagoans learned the city that works didn't always work like it should. And when it didn't, Mike Royko was there to let us know. If you weren't riled by Royko, you weren't reading him.